Ryūnosuke Akutagawa was a Japanese writer active in the Taishō period in Japan. He is regarded as the father of the Japanese short story and Japan's premier literary award. The Akutagawa Prize is named after him. He committed suicide at the age of 35 through an overdose of barbital. Early life. Ryūnosuke Akutagawa was born in the Kyobashi district of Tokyo, the third child and only son of father Taishō Nihara and mother Fuku Nihara. He was named Ryūnosuke because he was born in the year of the dragon, in the month of the dragon, on the day of the dragon, and at the hour of the dragon. His mother went insane shortly after his birth, so he was adopted and raised by his maternal uncle, Akutagawa Taishō, from whom he received the Akutagawa family name. He was interested in classical Chinese literature from an early age, as well as the works of Moriogai and Natsume Soseki. He entered the first high school in 1910, developing relationships with classmates such as Kan Kikuchi, Kumi Masao, Yamamoto Yuzo, and Tsuchi Ubunmei, all of whom would later become authors. He began writing after entering Tokyo Imperial University in 1913, where he studied English literature. While still a student, he proposed marriage to a childhood friend, Yayoi Yoshida, but his adoptive family did not approve the union. In 1916 he became engaged to Fumi Tsukamoto, whom he married in 1918. They had 3 children. Hiroshi Akutagawa was an actor. Takashi Akutagawa was killed as a student draftee in Burma, and Yasushi Akutagawa was a composer. After graduation, he taught briefly at the Naval Engineering School in Yokosuka, Kanagawa as an English language instructor, before deciding to devote his full efforts to writing. Literary career. In 1914, Akutagawa and his former high school friends revived the literary journal Shinshicho, publishing translations of William Butler Yeats and Anatole France along with their own works. Akutagawa published his first short story Rashomon the following year in the literary magazine Teikoku Bungaku while still a student. The story, based on a 12th-century tale, was not well received by Akutagawa's friends, who criticized it extensively. Nonetheless, Akutagawa gathered the courage to visit his idol, Natsume Soseki, in December 1915 for Soseki's weekly literary circles. In early 1916 he published Hana, which attracted a letter of praise from Soseki and secured Akutagawa his first taste of fame. It was also at this time that he started writing haiku under the Haigogaki. Akutagawa followed with a series of short stories set in Heian period, Edo period or early Meiji period Japan. These stories reinterpreted classical works and historical incidents. Examples of these stories include Gesaku Zanmai and Kare no Sho, Jigoku Hen, Hokyonan no Shi, and Butokai. Akutagawa was a strong opponent of naturalism. He published Mikan and Aki, which have more modern settings. In 1921, Akutagawa interrupted his writing career to spend 4 months in China as a reporter for the Osaka Mainichi Shimbun. The trip was stressful and he suffered from various illnesses, from which his health would never recover. Shortly after his return he published Yabu no Naka. Influences to his writing. Akutagawa's stories were influenced by his belief that the practice of literature should be universal and can bring together Western and Japanese cultures. This can be seen in the way that Akutagawa uses existing works from a variety of cultures and time periods and either rewrites the story with modern sensibilities, or creates new stories using ideas from multiple sources. culture and the formation of a cultural identity is also a major theme in several of Akutagawa's works. In these stories he explores the formation of cultural identity during periods in history where Japan was most open to outside influences. An example of this is his story Hokyo no Noshi, which is set in the early missionary period. The portrayal of women in Akutagawa's stories was shaped by the influence of three women who acted as a mother for Akutagawa. Most significantly, his biological mother Fuku, from whom he worried about inheriting her mental illness. Though he did not spend much time with Fuku, he identified strongly with her, believing that if at any moment he might go mad, life was meaningless. His aunt Fuki played the most significant role in his upbringing. Fuki controlled much of Akutagawa's life, demanding much of his attention especially as she grew older. Women that appear in Akutagawa's stories, much like the women he identified as mothers, were mostly written as dominating, aggressive, deceitful, and selfish. Conversely, men were often represented as the victims of such women, such as in Keseta Morito, in which the leading female character attempts to control the actions of both her lover and husband. Later life. The final phase of Akutagawa's literary career was marked by his deteriorating physical and mental health. Much of his work during this period is distinctly autobiographical, some even taken directly from his diaries. His works during this period include Daidoji Shinsuke no Hansei and Tenkibo. Akutagawa had a highly publicized dispute with Junichiro Tanizaki over the importance of structure versus lyricism in story. Akutagawa argued that structure, how the story was told, was more important than the content or plot of the story, whereas Tanizaki argued the opposite. Akutagawa's final works include Kappa, a satire based on a creature from Japanese folklore, Haguruma Aruaho no Isho, and the Bunji Tekina, Amari ni Bunji Tekina. Towards the end of his life, Akutagawa began suffering from visual hallucinations and nervousness over fear that he had inherited his mother's mental disorder. In 1927 he tried to take his own life, together with a friend of his wife, but the attempt failed. He finally committed suicide by taking an overdose of barbital, which had been given to him by Sato Mokichi on July 24 of the same year. His dying words in his will claimed he felt a vague insecurity about the future. He was 35 years old. Legacy. Akutagawa wrote over 150 short stories during his brief life. The classic film Rashomon, directed by Akira Kurosawa, retells the Akutagawa's story in a grove. The title and the frame scenes set in the Rashomon gate are taken from Akutagawa's story, Rashomon. Ukrainian composer Victoria Pleva has written the ballet Gagakus based on Akutagawa's Hell Screen. Japanese composer Mayuko Kubo has written an opera named Rashomon, based on Akutagawa's story. The German version was premiered in Graz, Austria, in 1996. The Japanese version followed 2002 in Tokyo. In 1935, Akutagawa's lifelong friend Kan Kikuchi established the literary award for promising new writers, the Akutagawa Prize, in his honor. Selected works in translation. Tales of Grotesque and Curious. Trans. Glenn W. Shaw. Tokyo, Hokuseido Press, 1930. Tobacco and the Devil. The Nose. The Handkerchief. Rashomon. Lice. The Spider's Thread. The Wineworm. The Badger. The Bull. The Pipe. Mori Sensei. Fool's Life. Trans. Will Peterson Grossman. ISBN 0-670-323500. Kappa. Trans. Jeffrey Bonus. Peter Owen publishes ISBN 0-7206-1200-4. Hell Screen. Trans. H.W. Norman. Greenwood Press. ISBN 0837130174. Mandarins. Trans. Charles de Wolfe. Archipelago Books. ISBN 0977857603. Rashomon and 17 Other Stories. Trans. J. Rubin. Penguin Classics. ISBN 0143039849. Tutsi-chun. Kodansha International. Assen B0006 BMQ7I. La Fille Chapeau Rouge. Trans. Laloz ed. Piquia in ISBN 978287730-200-5, ISBN 978935040-154-5.